Okay, welcome to another monthly webinar for Toy Launch. My name is Jason Hsieh. I'm the Chief Toy Officer, and today's webinar that we'll be talking and discussing about is Amazon Listing Makeover: Preparing Your Toys for a Strong Start in 2025. And I will try to make the webinar today as interactive as possible. Of course, I have some slide of key points that I would like to explain during the webinar, but there's also additional tool that I'll be doing some live demonstration that we currently use as a company to implement with our partners to make sure we can fully optimize their Amazon product listing for their toys and game brand. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. And I want to go ahead and start first talking about today's webinar goal. The goal of today's webinar is to really talking about additional tools and also knowledge that you need to know um, have maximum visibility, sales, and also customer engagement. So and what today's webinar will be, the goal will be leaving with actionable strategy that's tailored to your brand with the latest trend, and also some of the key takeaway on what are some of the strategy that you can implement today with your companies. And sorry, I'm just trying to double check, make sure the live feed is actually going. I'm seeing some technical issues on my end. Let me just double check to make sure everything is syncing properly. So for those of you that's watching or participating live, please let me know in the chat, either on the YouTube channels. I see we have a message from Mark. Let me see. Let me see if I can go live again. Uh, Okay, so the interruption, we're having some technical difficulties. So let me go ahead and restart the webinar from the beginning again because of that technical difficulty. We'll make sure when we send out the replay that will be fixed. So again, so today's webinar, the topic is about Amazon Listing Makeover and how to prepare your toys and game company for a strong start in 2025 using the Amazon platform. And the goal is to share some of our knowledge and the tool that we currently use. We currently manage about 20 different brands and accounts inside the toys and games categories. And we have different strategy that we use to make sure we can maximize visibilities and sales and also customer engagement with our clients' account. So, and hopefully after today's webinar, you will be leave with some of the actionable strategy that you can use and implement with your toys brand right away. So first of all, let me introduce myself. Again, my name is Jason Hsieh. I'm the founders of Toy Launch and also the Chief Toy Officer. So my toy journey started back in 2013 when my son was first diagnosed with autism and ADHD while we used to live in Tokyo, Japan. Um, Back then in Japan, just like a lot of Asian country, there is a lot of stigma and taboo around disability in general, especially for invisible disability like autism and ADHD. So even so, we live in Tokyo, one of the largest metropolitan area in the world, but we can only find two therapy centers to take our son to back then in the entire Tokyo metropolitan area. So we decided to move to United States in 2015 to find better help and support for our son to make sure he can have a better and more successful life. And after we moved to the US, we realized the insurance in US is a mess. It doesn't cover, or it barely cover, most of the therapy that our son needed, including speech therapy, OT therapies, ABS therapy, etc. And that's when I decided to start a toy company on top of my full-time career, which I used to work in corporate finance back then. And that was how Lucky Kid, our in-house toys brand, was born in 2017. And that's also how I got into the toy industry. And over the year, I was able to slowly build my toys brand up. And toward the end of 2021, I decided to take a leap of faith and quit my day job. And now I do this full time. I really enjoy a lot more of what I'm doing right now compared to my corporate career. And also in 2021, I started the second company, which is what we have today as Toy Launch. Is our digital marketing company, which we also do digital marketing for exclusively for the brands inside the toys and game industry. So those are the two different companies we also operate. And we also have a small foundation called Sensory Inclusive Classroom Foundation, which is our nonprofit foundation, which we donate some of the toys and games to local school and local churches. To is our way to give back to the community as well. And like I mentioned, as a company, we also not only partner with Amazon, we're also a Shopify partner, a Klaviyo partner, and we also are Pickfu certified partner. And we are also involved in a lot of the different association within the toys game space, including we are a member of Astra, we're also a member of Women in Toys, and also United Inventor Association. And we also run a podcast called Toy Business Unboxed, which we interview people in the toys and game industry. And I'm happy to say last year alone, we are actually able to interview over 70 guests for our podcast. And we are continuing looking for new guests that we can interview and share their story through our platform, through our podcast this year as well. So as far as our three principle of our toy marketing system, one of the main thing is going to be we'll be talking in today's webinar. We'll be spending a lot of time talking about conversion optimization on Amazon, including SEO, search engine optimization, the listing optimization, and a couple other steps that you want to think through if you are working on refining your Amazon presence and really trying to improve your Amazon conversion rate. Second is also obviously profit optimization. We need to make sure all the work we are doing on Amazon, we are actually profitable after spending all the times and energy on optimizing our Amazon storefront. And last but not least, ongoing optimization is also very important to make sure we have a successful store that can be and that could be running at a profitable rate on an ongoing basis. So those are the three major principles. And in today's webinar, we're going to dive a little bit deeper and talking about exactly what you could be doing today to really optimize some of your Amazon presence. The first topic I want to talk about is for Amazon, since Amazon is a search engine, just like Google is, but Amazon search engine is based on purchase behavior and buyer behavior compared to Google. So one of the key things that we need to keep in mind as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or as a manager managing the brand that you're in charge of, is to make sure you understand the keyword that is going to be mostly relevant and also have high search volume that is related to the product you're trying to market. So one of the things is you need to conduct regular keyword research using different tool. There's a lot of different tool that we currently use as a company. We use Helium 10, and one of the tool I will be doing some screen sharing with you today is another new tool that we are using inside our company. It's called Data Dive. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen here and talk about how we're currently using Data Dive as far as identifying keywords and identifying different keyword gap within the keyword space, so we can really make sure we can optimize the present and the search engine optimization for the listing. So what I'm showing on my screen right now is an example of what it look like inside one of the software. I know it look a little bit small, but one of the things you want to look out for is first, you want to identify 10 to 15 closely related competitor that's closely related to your product. For this example I'm showing right now, I have about 12 different Amazon listing. I'm doing a comparison. And what this tool is doing is downloading all the other competitors' product listing data and see what keyword the closest competitor is also being indexed and ranked on Amazon. And by looking at that, then you can see, okay, this is all the keyword that my competitor is currently ranking on page 1. How can I do a better job to have a higher ranking or having a better placement inside the Amazon search engine algorithm, including what are the most relevant keyword, what is the search volume for those keyword. SV means search volume, is an estimated search volume on Amazon, and you want to sort it from high search volume to low search volume, and also go through all the keyword that your tool will come up with, either using Data Dive or Helium 10. There's a lot of different tools in the marketplace. Right now, Data Dive is one of the one that we are also using. So this is a really good tool that gives you a very in-depth keyword information for your product. So you can go through the keyword to identify what are some of the keyword that have the highest volume that you can use in your Amazon product listing. And Also, what are the gap that currently are the keyword that you are not ranking for, but your competitor is ranking for, that you should consider to put into your listing, either in the product title, the product bullet point, the product description, or there's other places that you can put the keyword into your listing, which in today's webinar, also going to kind of talk about a few different places that you can use those keyword for. So one of the first step is definitely review your, is called a master keyword list, analyze the data based on the data you're gathering, and then identify the gap to see where you can spend more time and energy on both the organic search engine optimization and also on the pay advertising to make sure you can increase your ranking on Amazon. Then after you find the gap, the third step that you can also do is to use those information, use those knowledge to either re-optimize or rewrite your listing using the latest data. And I usually recommend to do this on a monthly or at least a quarterly basis to consider rewrite some of your Amazon listing based on the latest keyword trend and based on the latest keyword data. You want to rewrite your Amazon listing on the ongoing basis. And right now in January, this is actually a really good time to consider rewriting your listing, because as we all know, Q1 is a slow season for most of the brand inside the toys and games categories. So if you want to re-optimize, it will be the best time to do so, because you also have the least amount of risk, because this is not a peak season for our industry. So a lot of the optimization you can do right now is a really good time to do so. And also, I also want to talk about, as far as the master keyword list goes, like I mentioned, after you analyze those data, you want to test to see how is it going to perform. So you want to experiment with new keyword combinations and also regularly update your listing based on what other information you're seeing, and also update your master keyword list on a regular basis. If you don't have a tool like the one I'm going to show you, you can always use a spreadsheet by downloading a list of the keywords that you are doing research on, and try to keep that up to date and keep that updated on a regular basis as well. That's going to be a very, very important and a very critical for your ongoing success. Then the next step after you identify all the keywords is, okay, now you need to set a target. What is the target that you are trying to hit for? What is the KPI or key performance indexes that you want to look out for? And how are you going to like revisit some of those performance and make data driven decision? And for the tool that I was kind of highlighting earlier, you can very easily do so by, there's a feature in this particular tool is called Rank Radar. There's a lot of different tools. For example, Helium 10 also have a very similar tool that's similar to what I'm showing on the screen. In this data, you can see all the different keyword, what is the search volume, and where are you currently being indexed for, and where is your organic position, and also where is your advertising position. So for example, on the data here on the right, this is showing my organic ranking position on the day-to-day basis. For example, right now it's updated until yesterday. I can see my organic keyword ranking position, and I can also see my advertising rank position. In the Amazon world, it's called the impression rank, or impression rank, to see on, is your advertising showing in front of the potential audience? Are you on the page one of the search result when you're running advertising on Amazon? That's also a different set of data that you want to look out for. And with this particular tool, I'm also showing that out of all the different keywords, how much sales I'm also gathering from my advertising effort. How much is coming from PPC or pay per click sales? How many impression I'm getting from advertising? How many click I'm getting from advertising? How much advertising spend I'm spending on this particular keywords, and what is cost per click on all the keywords. So those are all the data that you can make informed business decision on. Okay, so this is a keyword I'm making a lot of advertising sales. Should I increase my bid on advertising on Amazon so I can get more exposure and really get more of the Amazon traffic? Those are all the different things you want to look out for. And of course, this is one way to use the data to your advantage to make sure you can take the data and make that updates in your listing and in your advertising strategy. And of course, today's webinar will be mostly focusing on the organic optimizations that you can do on the listing. In the future webinar, I'll spend more time talking about advertising and different campaign structures and different campaign strategy that you can do for both ongoing optimization or for the initial campaign creation, something to look out for. But today's webinar will be mostly focusing on the listing optimization and searching engine optimization for the most part. And I will touch a little bit about advertising, but that's not going to be the main focus of today's webinar. And also, please feel free, if you have any question, just leave the question in the chat if you're watching on YouTube or any other social media channels, and I will try to get to those questions at the end, toward the end of the webinar as well. So, so like I mentioned earlier, currently, the next thing we want to also consider as far as advertising on Amazon is going to be improving our product detail page. And there's different way to do that. First of all, there's going to be the hero image, and there's also going to be secondary image. There's also A+ content. So I'm going to switch my screen now and share one of the listing that we created for one of our own product, and talk about all the different components of different things you want to look out for when you are doing optimization or listing optimization for Amazon purposes. First of all, you want to make sure you have a very good hero images for Amazon listing. So when people are looking at your hero images, they know right away what is your product about and how what the product's main functionality is. So that's very, very important. Then the second thing is you also want to make sure the secondary images or all the other images beside the first images is also making sense to the customer that's shopping on the platform, including you want to include infographic. You also want to use different testimonials potentially, or you can also have different user cases to for this example. I'm also including some of my family picture talking about the reason why I started the brand. So that's all the different use case that you can use on the Amazon side. And also the other idea that you can also do is with different tool, you can also look at all your competitors' images to see, okay, this is all my top competitor. What kind of images are they using? Are they using infographic? Are they using lifestyle images? Are they using for example, that's talking about unique feature or any unique function of the product? And you can also learn from what your competitor is doing on Amazon in their listing images. And by taking those data and doing those analysis, you can also create a better version compared to your competition on Amazon as well. So high quality images is going to be very important to showcase your product's unique feature and functionality. And you can, like I mentioned, you can include a mix of lifestyle images, close up, or different like angle of the product. And this is also a great way to increase kind of consumer trust about your brand. And also you can also highlight different very unique feature of your product. Then the next component you want to also optimize is going to be the A+ content, which is under the product description page here. There's different layout in Amazon. There's traditional A+ content. There's also premium A+ content you can consider. And if you are a registered brand, means you have a trademark that you register with Amazon, you can also turn on a feature. It's called From the Brand. It's also a special feature you can turn on to highlight your brand story with your potential audience on your Amazon listing. It look like a banner on your product detail page, and this is where you can add a lot more information and a lot more details about all the different products that you currently have and that you're currently selling. So this is another great way to highlight some of the other related product. And this is also a place that you can do some cross-selling. For example, if they are visiting and looking at one of your product, then they can also click on one of the link here in your from the brand element, and then they can click to other product that you also offer. And for the product description, that's also different layout that you can do. The particular layout I'm showing here is usually a banner followed by a 4x4 grid. Means you have 4 different images followed by 4 different icons and also 4 different kind of description of the product detail page or the product description here as well. So this is one of the layout that we use, and you can then after the 4x4 grid, then we'll follow by two more banners with images and also additional information. And one thing that a lot of people also miss is make sure when you are doing the A plus content or the image component of this part of Amazon to populate your backend search term as well. In the Amazon world, is also referred to as alt text. Alt text is the keywords and the word that you can put inside your images, and this is another place that you can get index and rank on Amazon using the alt text in Amazon. So make sure you also update it so your alt text field is fully optimized and have all the different keyword inside. So that ways your Amazon listing have a higher search engine juice, so to speak. So this is another thing to look out for. So going back, those are all the different places that you can optimize on the creative side. So again, it's the images, and on the top was the hero images, secondary images, and also the A plus content. And you also want to collect insight from you using your customer review to see if there's any negative review that you're getting, if people not understanding how to use your toys or not understanding the rule of your board games. You want to try to adjust that in your images as well. If you are seeing like people keep on leaving you 1 star or 2 star review for the same reason, that's something you also want to consider to kind of make that a little bit more clear in your product listing itself, using the images, using some of the word. So that will prevent from any more negative review going on in the future as well. So you want to also have a feedback loop. So you're looking at the Amazon data and also make adjustment on the ongoing basis. So the next part I also want to talk about is the description of your product detail page, which is also very important. You want to make sure you are writing your product to make sure the potential buyer understand what your product is about, and also using a lot of the keywords throughout the listing itself, which that's going to be a few things. So first things is you want to understand your audience. Are they moms? If so, what is the age group of their kids that's typical buying your product? You want to really understand your customer avatar in order to write your Amazon listing to tailor toward your avatar or tailor toward your target audience as well. Then next is you want to make sure you write for the human, but also make sure you include all the high performing keyword in your product listing title, which in the next part of the webinar, I'm also going to show you some of the example of how to do that using different tool. And there's also AI nowadays that you can use AI to rewrite your listing and try to incorporate some of the keyword in your listing using AI as well. So, and make sure when you're doing copywriting for your Amazon product detail page, focus on the benefit. Make sure you clearly articulate how the toys and the game that you create can contribute to your customer. For example, is it more for problem solving? Is it more for creativity? Or is it more for sensory engagement, like some of our product? So that's another thing you want to think about when you're writing or re-optimizing for your Amazon listing. So the next part I want to talk about is really go into each of the component of the Amazon listing in more detail. So the first and the most important component is your product title. So the product title, that's also a couple of different things you need to look out for. And again, as a review, the product title is what they see on the first on top of your product detail page. And this is also what people see in the search result. If you type in any kind of keyword in Amazon, the first couple of different components they will see is the hero images, the product title, the review, and then the price. So the product title is obviously also very important to your long-term success on Amazon, because you want to make sure that is optimized. And also Amazon is coming up with a lot of new rule in 2025. Actually, they just come out with a new rule about a week ago. So the latest Amazon titles I'm also going to talk about the latest requirement. So those are some of the latest requirement. I know it's kind of small. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more so you can see a little bit better. So Here are some of the requirements. The Amazon product title have three major requirements right now. First, we need to keep it under 200 characters for most of the categories. Second, we need to avoid using any special symbols like exclamation mark, question mark, or any other special symbol. Is now against Amazon rule to use those special symbols in your title. Third is you need to limit the repetition to 2 instances per word. So it means you cannot repeat the words in the title as well. So this particular software that I'm using right now, you will also detect to see whether or not the listing is meeting all the rule or not. So this is a great way to kind of double check, make sure the title is also so let me kind of populate the data so I can kind of explain further. So what I just did is I'm populating my current title into the tool. So the tool is going to do the validation to make sure it's meeting most of the requirement, and it's going to show us what is still need to be changed. Right now, for example, is like if it's a repetition in the words, it's going to show us one of the things that we need to further optimize. And also, what this tool is showing is also how much search it's called ranking juice that we're getting from the listing itself. So the ranking juice is being calculated based on the search volume, and each tool kind of calculate this a little bit differently. For data dive, the way they calculate it, for the search volume in that's related to the title, they give a multiplier of 3, and the bullet point they give a multiplier of 2, and in the description they give a multiplier of 1. That's how they calculate how much like search volume ranking juice you have in your current listing. So that means because title is the most important part of SEO in Amazon. So having the right keyword in the title is super important. And that's also why when their system is doing the calculation, they give it a 3x multiplier. Then after you finish rewriting the title, the next thing you want to rewrite or review is definitely all the bullet point that you have in your listing. So in the tool, you also have an AI functionality. You can use the AI to write it. But my word of caution is after you use the AI to write it, always review it to make sure it is readable, and make sure you make adjustment after you use the AI to write the initial copywriting. And what this tool is also showing me is where are all the keywords being used in my listing, and am I using it in my titles, or I can see, okay, am I using the keyword in my titles, or am I using the keyword in my bullet point, or am I using the keyword in my description? So this make the Amazon listing writing copywriting a lot easier by seeing all the different components and seeing which keyword is currently being applied to where. And this is what we also use internally right now when we're writing and re-optimizing Amazon listing for our client currently. So there's also one thing to look out for is to make sure you have a balance, to make sure you use the most critical keyword early in the title to maximize the search relevancy, and try to avoid keyword stuffing. Means you don't want to repeat the keyword more than twice, and that's actually also against the Amazon rule nowadays to repeat the keywords too many times. And also make sure your titles and bullet point and the description is written clearly so the customer immediately understand what your product offer is, and eliminate any unnecessary phrase that could add to confusion. And then last but not least, also look at some of your competitors. For example, in this tool, I can also look at my competitor to see how well am I optimizing right now compared to the competitor, and what are some of the additional optimization I need to do in order to have a higher to have a more listing ranking juice compared to our competitors listing as well. So this is another thing that you can optimize to make sure you have the highest search engine search engine optimization potential for your Amazon listing. So that's kind of the main thing for the title component. And when you come to the bullet point, you want to kind of prioritize different features. Place your most compelling product benefit in the first 2 bullet points. Make sure, because that's where most of the readers or the potential buyer will read first. Then you can also include a different problem solution focus to frame each of the points around the problems and how the product can solve it. For example, you can talk about how your unique feature can be really solving some of your potential customers' concern, and also add additional keyword naturally into your listing to expand and without compromising the readability of the listing itself. And you can also include call to actions to make sure you have engaging languages, to say, you can say your toys is perfect for birthday gift or classroom activities. That's some of the example that you can also use in your bullet points. And when you come to description, and as far as bullet points goes, Amazon's typical rule is you cannot exceed more than 250 characters on the bullet point. And on the description at Amazon is usually a little bit more lenient on the description, and you can have up to 2,000 characters on the description. And on the description, some of the key things to look out for, and let me kind of pull back my slide again. So I already talked about the bullet point to prioritize the features, make sure you focusing on problem solving and solutions. Make sure you add the keywords and also add call to action in your bullet points. And in the product description, you want to make sure you have engaging structures and also have a storytelling approach to tell a story about your product. And then you can also place more keywords into your product description as well. That will also help with your search engine optimization. And make sure the tone and the terminology across your entire listing, from title to bullet point to the description, is consistent with your brand identity, to build the trust and the recognition that you're looking for your brand. Um, and this part I already talked a little bit about earlier, is for the EBC, or enhanced brand content. That's also some copywriting involved, like I showed you earlier. And couple things you want to look out for is you can also test different modules in your EBC or your A plus content. Again, the EBC, and that's different word to call the same stuff because Amazon keep on changing their terminology. EBC is this portion. So it's also, some people also call it A plus content. This will be this is only available for the brand that's brand registered with Amazon. So you cannot turn on this feature if you are not a brand registered brand with Amazon. So this is a unique feature. Then with this feature, you can create and design the 4x4 grid that I mentioned earlier, to make sure your listing look very well optimized. And there's also different setup. Let me see if I can pull up a different layout. So this is a different layout. For example, this particular layout here, we're testing have a video inside the product description, followed by different key bullet points. For example, it's talking about different key features, and you can have a slideshow set up here as well. And you can also have like a zoom in feature right here by hovering over different component of the product. And then you can also have a Q&A session. This particular layout is also referred to as Amazon premium content. So this is because you have the videos and have some advanced component. So this is a premium layout, and whereas the one I just showed earlier, the one that doesn't have the video, this is considered a um, traditional product description or traditional A plus content. There's two type of A plus content that you can use in your Amazon listing when you come to enhance brand content. And you also want to test different layouts to see which layout will give you a better conversion rate, and you can convert better with the layout. And then you can also use Amazon's experiment tool to run A/B tests. For example, you can use one layout and run an experiment against the other layout to see which layout will convert better for your product over a long period of time. So those are all the different strategy and different tips that you can use to really optimize your Amazon listing by doing different experiment. And the experiment also applies to hero images, to your titles, or even bullet point. You can test a lot of different components inside the Amazon system currently. So, and that's something we also work on an ongoing basis when we work with our client to make sure we can optimize their listing and test different components on a regular basis as well. So the next part I want to talk about is I kind of mentioned it earlier already, but is for your images, it's very, very important to include text in your images, because majority of the Amazon buyer, even so you spend all this time writing title, bullet point, and description, and the enhanced brand content or A+ content, a lot of them actually don't read all the word or all the text that you have written. Most of the customers, sometimes they will just skim through the images and make the buying decision just based on image alone. So it is very important to make sure we have the text in the images using infographic, and make sure the infographic should be visually appealing, and keep the text short and focused, and highlight some of the primary benefit or feature without overwhelming the viewer with too much information. And you want to pair the text with different visual, using complementary visual effect to support the text. And I can also show you some example in our listing on how it will look, and also make sure it's consistent, to make sure some of the listing you are creating is consistent across the different images. For example, this is some of the example I can also show you. For example, this is a good example of the infographic on the Amazon listing. For example, you have a close-up images, you have like a call out on top, then you have different icon on the bottom talk about like what are some of the key feature or benefit for the product. For example, soft cotton fabrics, or this is also an infographic with different icons here, and you also have a call out on what a major benefit and major feature of the product. Or you can also kind of highlight how this could be used as a gift, or there's different idea on how you can highlight some of the major feature using infographic. And that's also very important for your success on Amazon, by highlighting some of those information right inside the text itself. So those are the few things to look out for. And the next part, I also mentioned it earlier, is when you are designing images for your A+ content, make sure you don't forget about the alt text. Again, the alt text, like I mentioned earlier, is the search engine fields for each of the images. Let me pull up one of the traditional layout here. For example, this layout, you can see there is alt text for every single images that's attached. I know it's kind of small, maybe a little bit hard to read. So let me make it a little bit bigger here. So each of the field, actually, each of the images come with an alt text field that you can also update and optimize to make sure you include different keywords and also include different informations inside your alt text. So this is another great place to do search engine optimization for your Amazon listing. Then you want to make sure the alt text is also the alt text is not really designed for the user or the customer. This is really more designed for the end search engine itself. So you can try to make sure you include some of the keywords in here, because not a lot of people is actually going to read the alt text. It's mainly designed for the search engine for the alt text. The next part is also very important in your Amazon listing, is your backend search term. And also there's also a generic keyword field that you can also update in Amazon itself. So the backend search term, if you go into Amazon listing, you can click on edit, then you can edit the backend search term fields and also the generic keyword fields. This is another place where you can put important keywords inside your Amazon listing, so the Amazon search engine algorithm can recognize your listing for what it need to be related to. It also establish relevancy with the search engine. So one way to really utilize it is Amazon allow up to 250 bytes for backend search term. So to make sure you use that space wisely by not repeating the words. And you can also include, sometimes you can also include alternative spellings and also other related phrases or other keywords in your listing. And make sure you don't avoid repeating the keywords that already is in your title and bullet point, focusing on like different variation of the similar search term or different unique term that you can use. And for the generic keywords, you can also include like customer, like keyword that's related to like more customer intent as well. And you can use like education. For example, if your toys is educational toys, you can also include that in some of your backend field to make sure Amazon algorithm can recognize your product for that particular keywords. So, and inside the Amazon detail page, I can also open up one of my Amazon account, and I can also show you where to find it in your Amazon account. So when you log in, make sure you go to manage inventories first. And inside the Amazon manage inventory, you can find this field by clicking on manage all inventories. Then you can click on just edit here, edit listing. And this should take you to the place that I'm referring to in your Amazon listing. For example, under the product detail here, you can see the titles, the product descriptions, and also the bullet point, and also the generic keyword field that I mentioned earlier. So those are the some of the places that you can find those field right now for your listing, and this is also where you can update it. And also make sure you can, if as much as you can, try to populate all the information field in the product detail page. Each of the product category will have different field that you can update. It depends on the categories. Some of the information change. For example, for some reason, I don't know why it's giving me a team name in my product detail page, but it depends on the category. Some category will show you different field that you can also fill out. But the best practice is always try to fill it out to your best ability, so you don't have any there's no missing field in your product detail field in the backend. So you can try to add as many information as possible, and this could also potentially to reduce some of the potential return by adding additional information to the buyer. That will also help, and also it help with the algorithm's relevancy by fully completed all the detail field. You will also enhance your listing relevancy for the Amazon algorithm, which in turn will boost your discoverability on Amazon as well. And kind of the last, the couple next thing I want to discuss is going to be leveraging the customer reviews and also rating. Sometimes you can, like I mentioned earlier already, by looking at your reviews, you can see a trend of if there's any kind of ongoing negative reviews. You want to address some of those concerns by reviewing your negative review, and then you want to update your listing, and you update your product feature or update your images to address the recurring issues. For example, the customer maybe didn't understand your toys and games as much as they should, and it's causing some return because of the misunderstanding. So that will be a good way to leverage the customer reviews on Amazon. And also, that's also a place you can, sometimes you can also highlight some of the positive review in your product images as well. Like one of the example I'm showing, I have images is also highlighting one of the review as well. So that's also another way you can also use the review into your Amazon optimization effort. And like I already mentioned earlier as well, analyzing your Amazon competitor listing is also very, very important. You want to make sure you can stand out and learn from your competitors. Identify what the top seller in the category is doing right. For example, what kind of image style they are using, what kind of keyword they are using, what is their pricing strategy, and try to find a gap. Look for areas where the competitor is falling short, whether or not they don't have a really well optimized titles, where they don't have a very well optimized A plus content, or use those opportunity as your kind of a advantage to really compete with your competitors on Amazon. And also you can also take a look at your current pricing to see how much is all your competitors pricing, and see if you are above or under the market average. That's another very important matrix that you want to consider to review on a regular basis as well. So, and by analyzing your competitors' review, you can also understand what your customer is liking or disliking about your competitor's product. Then you can change some of your product in the future, or you can change how you're describing your product to really adjust some of the negative review that you're seeing in your competitor listing as well. Then you can update your listing based on some of those insight that you're getting from the analyzation of your competitor listing. So there's a lot of information you can use by looking at your competitors Amazon listing. and look at the good and also look at the bad and see how you can improve your own listing using those data. And based on those results, obviously, today's webinar, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about advertising, but on the high level, you can also use some of the researchers that I mentioned, coming up with a master keyword list, doing all the researches to figure out where the gap is. Then you can leverage some of those data in your advertising strategy as well. You can use a mixture of different keywords, or you can try to target other competitors' product, or you can target their product detail page as well. Then that will also kind of guide your keyword targeting strategy on advertising to make sure you're focusing on the high relevant and high search volume keywords. And so you can be a little bit more aggressive on advertising to see if you can get a better rank on Amazon using those keywords. And also you want to make sure you're monitoring your performance on a regular basis. You want to look at metrics like click-through rate, or your advertising cost of sales, or your total advertising cost of sales, tacos, etc. And you can also use sponsored display to do a little bit of retargeting as well. So those are all the different strategies that you can also use based on all the different research you have done, like all the research I have been kind of walking through in today's webinar, using those details and data, and that will inform you to have a better marketing strategy and a better marketing decision for your brand going forward. So, and also make sure you are utilizing all the Amazon brand registry tool, because that's a lot of tool that people sometimes, when I'm reviewing or talking to uh, client of mine, they didn't realize they have this functionality in Amazon, because Amazon is always coming up with new functions. For example, the enhanced brand content, some people I'm talking to, they didn't understand the difference between the traditional A plus content versus the premium A plus content. That's also the difference, because one have the video capability, one doesn't. So you want to make sure you are utilizing all the latest Amazon tool as they are rolling out more and more tool. And there's also a lot of analytic report that you can also utilize in your Amazon account. Amazon have brand analytic. There's a lot of different type of report in your Seller Central dashboard that you should be also reviewing on the regular basis. And one of the few report I will recommend for you to look at is when you log into your brand analytic. Amazon now is sharing so much data with us. They're sharing the customer loyalty and analytic. You can see your return rate for your product. You can even see search category performance. You can also see search query performance. You can also see what the top search term are in the Amazon catalog. There's a lot of data that you can use for your own brand that you want to review on an ongoing basis to see how you can optimize. And for example, this particular report is called Search Query Performance Report. This is a report that Amazon also provides us to show us what are some of the keywords that Amazon think our product is relevant for. And based on those data, we should be spending more time on optimizing for those particular keywords as well. And you also have different report like repeat purchase behavior report. You can also look at to see your repeat purchase rate. And you can also see the demographic of your customer on Amazon by looking at those reports to see what are typical ages of the buyers. And you can also see what is called a market basket analysis. This report will show you what is the most frequently bought together product alongside with yours. So you can use this data by, okay, if my customer usually buy product A and also buy product B, and product B is not mine, how can I target these competitors with my advertising strategy? Or maybe I can create a similar product that I can also offer as part of my brand. That people usually also buy alongside with my product. So this is also a really good data to look at to guide you through advertising strategy, even strategy on how to further expand and add additional product to your catalog as well by looking at the data. And Amazon have a brand new data called the customer journey analytic as well. You can see where the how does a customer find your product. For example, a lot of them find the product, but how many of them actually drop off and actually didn't buy the product? So this is also some very interesting report you can take a look at. So, and Amazon sometimes will give you some potential action to reach more customer as well. So this is all the different data that as a registered brand on Amazon that you have access of, and you should utilize it to its full capabilities. Um, and try to keep up today with all the new tool. It's going to be very important to stay competitive in the Amazon ecosystem and on the Amazon platform. So and like I said, and also you want to stay updated with all the Amazon policy, because Amazon regularly update its policy. You also update its guideline, you update its fees, update your storage limitation. So you want to make sure you stay informed to avoid any kind of penalties or get your product suppressed or even delisted. So, and also make sure all the image requirement is also comply with Amazon's turn of services. And they also have different content guidelines, including the image size and also what you can have in the background. And also avoid any prohibited keywords by also reviewing some of their keyword strategy. A lot of the keyword you want to avoid is anything that's medical. You might have a medical implication. For example, for some of my products, since we design sensory toys and fidget toys and weighted toys, we cannot use the word like anxiety relief anywhere in product listing, because Amazon see that as like a medical claim. So you want to make sure you also avoid those kind of keyword when you are doing re-optimization for your Amazon listing as well. And also try to utilize some of the education resources that is inside the Amazon Seller Central. Amazon also have a Seller University you can also use. So, and last but not least is also you want to build a year-round uh, content calendar. For example, like when do you want to do this review? Do you want to do it once a quarter, or maybe you do it once a year? But my advice is do it once a quarter minimum. That would be a good cadence to updating. You don't need to rewrite your entire listing from the bottom up. You could be just rewriting a little tiny component and see if by adding additional keyword to your title, does it actually do you actually perform better in the Amazon search engine algorithm? So by building like a content calendar or like a cadence for your Amazon optimization is also very important. So you know when you can rotate or change different content to make sure you are keeping your listing like fresh. So, and also kind of looking at the latest Amazon keyword data to make sure you can utilize the Amazon's latest keyword data and apply that to Amazon listing, so you can stay up to date and stay competitive. And using some of those analytic tool, you want to do the quarterly reviews to make sure you measure the performance and identify additional area for improvement on an ongoing basis as well. So hopefully this is I know this is a lot of information and try to squeeze into today's webinar. So but if you have any additional question, please feel free to put it in the chat. And also I will try to answer those questions as well. Our team will also monitor any question related to the webinar, and we'll also send out the replay here shortly once we finish the editing process. So, and if you have any question about your store, if you want us to do a more in-depth analysis of all the things I talk about for your store specifically, feel free to visit our website and schedule a time with myself, and I will spend time we're looking forward to have you on a future webinar. Thank you so much.